I was never your typical bad boy. I was almost like a pretender.
8 years behind the door. And what was that genuinely like?
I'll be honest, it's not that bad. You don't want to ever go to prison. Don't let me make prison sound fun. Prison is bullshit, right? However, when you're there, you can make the most of your time. And I also done a degree while I was in there. I done a degree in criminology and social policy, and I wrote 2 books. Gang life only lasts from maybe 14 until you're back 24. I want to give back to the society. I want to give back to the community. Any player that plays for my football team has to volunteer in the community. I had Nike, the biggest sports brand in the world, come and sponsor me in 2018. Now I got one of the biggest streaming platforms in the world, Netflix, are now my sponsors as well.
What's going on, guys, and welcome back to the BlueTick show. Opposite me today, I've got Bobby Kasanga, the owner of Hackney Wick Football Club. Welcome to the show.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming on. As much as you're the owner of Hackney Wick Football Club, we'll jump into the success of that. Being sponsored by Top Boy is amazing. But let's throw it way back a little bit, because you've got a bit of a story to tell on what got you to where you are today.
Yep.
So talk to me. Tell me a little bit about your childhood, firstly.
From Congo. Came here when I was 3 years old. With my uncle and auntie, they raised me as my parents, basically.
Yeah.
First lived in Dulwich, South London, and then we moved to Peckham, to the Gloucester estate. And anyone that knows the Gloucester estate, growing up right next to the North Peckham estate, was a dangerous place. But you wouldn't know it as a kid. As a kid, you're having fun, you're enjoying yourself, playing with your friends, but you don't know what anything else that's going on around you. Only when I really went into year 7, I started kind of finding out about my environment, and then by the time I was in year 9, that's when I joined the gangs.
In year 9?
Year 9, yeah.
Age, what's that, about 13, 14?
14, yeah.
And by joining the gang, how did you just think it's your group of friends, or did you actually know, okay, I'm involved in this?
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was involved because I used to see them.
Okay.
And there was an incident I've spoken about previously where someone from the gang tried to rob my hat. But someone else who knew my older brother, who was already part of the older members of the gang, said, "What are you doing? That's Carly's little brother."
Yeah.
And after that, like, "Oh, I didn't know. Oh, you're one of us." And literally, that was my initiation. And then the next day, I'm hanging around with him. And when you kind of think about the activities we're doing, it wasn't something that was a super villain kind of thing, but it gradually gets there. So before 14, 15, we're just going around stealing mopeds, barreling mopeds, engines, the ignition, robbing mobile phones, and as you get older, it moves into selling drugs and big robberies and so on. So yeah, that's what it was.
And when you was 13 and 14 and you joined this gang and you had this group of people, there must have been, how many of you? Loads?
There was so many, like the whole, like there was so many different groups. We were called the younger Peckham boys.
Okay.
So I could say there was at least 100 of us.
Oh shit!
But we never always hang around together.
Yeah.
You might hang in different. So you might hang around with 10 of you guys today, then you might hang around with another 12 the next day. But it was literally all of us in the same area.
A lot of people.
A lot of people, yeah.
And did you never have like what was your? Obviously, you said you was with a family. They brought you up. Did they never say like, "Yo, what you doing? Don't chill with them people. They're no good for you."
We were good at keeping it away from them because my parents were pretty strict and. They'll say, be home at this time, and you always lie. Oh no, I had to stay for after school club. Oh, I had to go and do this. So they never saw the activities until we got arrested. So my older brother was the one that was getting arrested first, and remember when then my parents' eyes started opening, but we were very good at hiding it because you follow peer pressure. And
what happened? The transition from doing small robberies to obviously big crimes, where you obviously got arrested for.
Yeah, I mean that was obviously. By the age of 17, I moved at home. Things at home wasn't great. And I started selling drugs at this point. And then one day my friend was gambling, playing Pro Evolution.
Yeah.
And he won a bit of money from me. And I was meant to go and see a girl that day. And I'm like, "Yo, give me back the money, I gotta see this girl." He's like, "No, but I want it fair and square. You wouldn't give me back the money." I said, "I'll pay you back." He's like, "No." He made me have to walk home that day, right? I had to go and borrow money from someone else to go and entertain this lady who's coming over. So a couple of days later, he was about to go and buy his car. We're playing Pro Evolution again.
Yeah.
And I beat him for the money, plus the money for his car. He's like, "Oh, come on, I need that back. I said, "Oh, you made me walk home the other day. I'm not giving that back to you." He's like, "No, look, honestly, give it back to me. In a couple of days, I got a move." I'm like, "What move you got?" He's like, "You know them security vans?
Yeah. G4S ones.
Yeah, G4S and Loomis." I said, "You're mad, I'm not doing that." I said, "So a helicopter?" I said, "Nah, I'm not involved." A couple of days later, we're playing Pro Evolution again. He wins his money back and he said, "You know what? I don't want your money, keep it." He throws the money back at me. He goes underneath his bed and brings out £10,000 in cash. I've never seen that ever in my life at that point. I was like 17, 18, whatever it was.
10 bags. It's big money.
I was like, what? I said, when's the next one? And literally, that's when the transition changed. I started doing security van robberies.
Wow. Yeah. And obviously, before we get into security van robberies, during that time, did you ever have trouble on the streets?
Yeah.
Was there fights, other gangs?
Yeah, I mean, there was, I got caught up in the midst of a sort of internal war, internal kind of beef kind of thing, because I lived in Peckham, but hung around a lot in Woolly Road. And then there's an incident that happened where the two different areas, two groups of friends weren't getting along. And they will see each other as tit for tat. This person will stab this person will stab that person. And I was kind of caught up in the middle of the bit where I hang around over here. When I go back to Peckham, they're like, oh, don't get involved, you know we've got love for you, don't get involved in that. Then I told you, you guys need to squash this. And then, it led to a lot of tragedies, man. One of my friends got stabbed up and he lived, but then I think that affected him mentally. He committed suicide a few years back. And then another one, he got killed actually through this whole beef called Mender, R.I.P. He got stabbed and by a group of other friends, and then they done the time in jail. They're all out of jail now as well, but it's like, just a funny situation.
Was you ever carrying anything with you?
Yeah, you had to kind of thing, innit? But not more so. The funny thing is like this, right? I was never your typical bad boy. I was almost like a pretender because I'm following the crowd. My brother, on the other hand,
Different game.
I just like use his name, right? and that's how I got accepted. Because like I said, someone tried to rob me. Only when someone recognized my brother, they're like, oh no, that's his little brother. And that's how I got recruited. So when we was going to do robberies, I was never convincing, but I got to the mode of doing them. But I always say I was.
You was more joining in than doing it.
Yeah, I was more the criminal that had a conscience. Like even when we're going to beef Ghetto Boys in Lewisham, or we say we're going Brixton, or we're going Trocadero, I'll be the one like, oh, you man, allow everything. Oh, who bought this guy, man? Why did you bring this guy? Kind of thing. But in the end, when people are selling their phones after they're doing the robberies and making money, I'm sitting there with my old beat down Reebok classics. I started doing the robberies as well, and then I got into it, and then you start carrying things. Then there's knives, there's guns, but I wasn't one that was ever a perpetrator. I just used it as a sense of like, I've got this now because everyone else got it, kind of thing. Yeah.
And your brother, is he still part of your life now?
Yeah. I mean,
staying out of trouble.
He stayed out of trouble. I mean, he got shot 4 times in 2008 outside a nightclub, and I remember I was in prison at the time when I heard that happened, and that's the worst place to be because there is nothing you can do.
Yeah.
Like literally, they told you this was happening. He's in intensive care. We don't know if he's gonna make it. I was beside myself, but thank God he lived. And doing well for himself now as well. He actually works with me as well at the football club as well. So
that's a madness. We'll talk about that in a second. But talk to us now through the situation of when you got arrested for your crime.
Yeah, I mean,
talk to us about. I want to hear the day, that story, your whole day, waking up in the morning to. When you got arrested, how it happened, how the police caught you, what actually happened in that. Like.
All right, so we was doing, at this point we were doing security van robberies. So I had 2 young people with me. I think at the time I was 20 and they were both 16, 17, right? And usually I'll be the getaway driver. Yeah. They'll go out and go and rob it, bring it back. I know how to open it. I'll open a box, give everyone their cut. So anyway, we're driving around that day because with security van robberies, sometimes you knew what time they'll be coming. Okay, they come here 8 o'clock every Wednesday. Then you might come back the next week and confirm, it is every Wednesday. So you wait a couple of weeks, you do it. Other times you just say, okay, cool, we're going to drive around until we see one. So that day we was driving around until we see one. I remember we were driving everywhere. We met in Peckham, opposite the old BP station that's gone now. And then just driving, we ended up in the Rains Park train station. We saw the Loomis van, was the white security vans, and I parked up. Okay, you man, go ahead. And what I always used to do, I always used to wear football kits underneath my clothes. So basically, so if I was not wearing my dark clothes, whatever, sometimes I used to wear like smart clothes as well. So it would be either football clothes or smart clothes. I might wear a shirt and trousers and put on tracksuits underneath. So if I take off my clothes, like they say, oh no, there's a guy with a shirt and a tie walking around kind of thing. But that day I had my football kit on as well. So we went and we got to Rains Park train station. We see the delivery happening. I parked to the side. I remember it was a red Vauxhall Astra that I had at the time that we was using for the robbery. I bought it just a couple of days before. And then they've gone out. They're taking the time. Next thing I know, they've grabbed it. Go, 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 go. I started driving. We drove. I remember like taking left, right. People trying to take the number plate number down. It was a red car. I should have clocked more as a red car. I should have abandoned the car. But we went to some local park, opened the cash box, got back in the car.
Got back in the same car?
Got back in the same car. And then was thinking, okay, cool, let's head back. But something tell me, maybe we should drop the car. But you know what? It's not too far if we use the back roads and we can get back to Peckham. But those days, I don't even think I was using sat nav. So heading back, ended up in Wimbledon Centre, basically, of all places. And as I'm driving up, parked up, there's a white guy walking towards the car. But I'm not pennying him, so I'm just like this, waiting for the traffic. We're listening to music in the background. And then I turn to the right, and I see the policeman just run to the car, tried to open it, but it was locked. I'm like, rah, he said, police, open up. I just put my foot on the accelerator, then I hit the car in front of me because there was traffic, reversed, came out, went round, took a left and just sped down the road, and the guys in the back, let us out. I've let them out. I kept on going, dropped the car, got rid of my clothes, and I ran. Then I took was hiding behind some bushes. In the end, I jumped over a fence and hid in a garden. I was in that garden for ages. This was on the 13th of March.
That's my birthday.
That's
my birthday.
That crazy. Look at that. This was 13th of March 2007, and literally I'm sat there, and for ages, and it's getting cold now because March ain't exactly spring. Yeah. It's still a bit cold, so I'm getting a little bit cold now. And then I'm thinking, I can't move because I can hear a helicopter. I know my missus gonna be pissed off with me because I was meant to go and pick her up at the time as well after she finished work. So I'm just sitting there, like, cool. She just has to firm this one. Like, I didn't pick her up. I'll make an excuse later on. Then it's getting dark, but this helicopter's not going anywhere. I'm thinking, I could just sit here, chill. After a while, I started hearing some sort of sniffling and I'm thinking, what's that? Because I was hidden behind some shed. I thought, I don't tell him there's a dog in here or something. I hid behind the shed, ready to punch this dog. I'm like, I don't know what dog is it, but I looked up. I see a policeman looking at me with his radio, like, oh yeah, he's here. I ran, and then I ran inside some woman's house, like, because in her garden, her back door was open. I ran inside and she was there with her daughter. She screamed, the daughter screamed. They're like, fuck. Then I tried to run through the front door, get to the front door. The police are there already. I've run back upstairs and I barricaded myself inside the house and I just gave myself up. Then I open up, I'm like trying to block the door. I don't know what I thought I was doing. Then they finally got through. The officers just banged me in my face. I dropped to the floor. They started beating the shit at me.
Serious?
Yeah, they made the police dog started biting me, like all these marks here that I've got. Literally that one there, like really it chewed into my arm. And like, I'm like, oh, can't you see what you did? They're like, shut up, they're kicking me. And then literally I was like, oh, fucking hell, I've been caught. And they took me to the police station. Then they had to take me to the hospital to get a tetanus jab because obviously of the police dog bites. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, fucking hell, it's over now, they've got me, like, I'm done. But I came up with the most ridiculous excuses because to try to get out of this. Now, what happened previously, prior to that, was that there was a murder that happened, 2 murders that happened. One of my friends went to go and do a robbery with a group of other friends, and they've ended up killing him.
Wow.
And a couple of days later, the guys who were perpetrators of killing my friend, they went for another friend of theirs, and they went to go and look for the money as well. They ended up killing that person's younger brother in his bed in the case of mistaken identity while the boy was sleeping. I then got arrested for that, and because I was a suspect, but it had nothing to do with me, but because it was all kind of affiliated. Yeah. So what happened, police arrested me, gone to police station. They said, Trident arrested me on suspicion of murder. Then flying squad came and arrested me on suspicion of, suspicious of conspiring to commit robberies. And then I remember that scared me because I had committed the robberies, but I wasn't involved in the murder. I knew that I wasn't involved in the murder. But when they interviewed me and they told me about the robberies I was talking about, it had nothing to do with me. So I was like, oh.
Sweet.
Yeah, sweet. But then what happened, a couple of days later, the police visited me. They're like, oh, we're going to return, because they raided my house, took all my clothes from my mum's house and stuff like that. They're like, I'm going to return your stuff to you. I'm like, okay, I'll come and get it. They're like, no, I want to come to you. So they came to my house, and they're like, oh yeah, we know that you're not involved in these robberies. We know you're a good guy. We know you didn't involve in the murder, but you can help us find the murderers. I'm like, I don't know who's killed this kid. They're like, yeah, we know you might have some sort of information that might help us. I'm like, and they start saying stuff like, oh yeah, we help people like you. Basically trying to recruit me as an informant, basically.
Snitch.
They're like, yeah, we can help you get a football contract. By this time I was still playing football semi-pro. We can help you get a football contract and so on. I'm like, ah, cool, no worries, man. They've gone and come, bro. Said, imagine the police have come here, told me that they believe, basically they want me to be an informant. And then they believe someone has done this murder, and the person they believe that done the murder was someone that I was cool with.
Yeah.
And I've called them and said, yo, imagine if they just come to my house saying that, yeah, they think you're involved in this, they're onto you, you know, just be mindful, kind of a blah, blah. So, that being said, done. So when I got arrested now, I'm like, oh, see when you guys came to my house, right, to what you call it, talk to me about how I can help you guys, the people that done the robbery with, they're the people who done the, what you call it, they're the people I'm hearing done the murders, but these are fake people. Yeah. I said, there's a black guy called Blacks and Shadow, and I was trying to help you guys, basically. That's why I went on this robbery, and they forced me to be the getaway driver. They said if I don't do the driving, I'll end up like end up like the boy. In my head, I don't know. When I think about it now, how stupid and naive that sounds. But in my head, I thought, yeah, I can get away with this because I got proof that police came to visit me. I got proof that they've asked me to help them, and I'm saying, yeah, I've done this robbery because they ain't caught the people that was with me, kind of thing. I mean, they caught them later on, but at that point, they didn't catch the people that done the robberies with. So I thought, I'm gonna get away with this. And in the end, no, didn't get away. Got convicted, and I got given. Originally, I got given a 4-year sentence, which I was quite surprised about because I had no previous.
Yeah.
I was given a 4-year sentence, but then I added an extra year because this way I was a madman, right? Because when I got before my trial, I spent 6 months in Felton prison. When I turned 21, I had to go to adult prison. Went to Wandsworth. Because my trial hadn't taken place within 6 months, I was given bail. So they gave me bail. When they gave me bail, instead of just relaxing and waiting for my
Day
in court, I went out and started doing more robberies.
This video is sponsored by Cranbrook Law, an award-winning immigration law firm. Their talented solicitors can help when any struggles arise regarding immigration law. They can help get you the visas they need. They can help get you the staff you need from any other countries. As you can see, the website is on the screen right now. So if you need anything to do with immigration law, message Cranbrook Law and let them help you. Whether you're looking to obtain a sponsor license, receive advice and guidance in relation to compliance and our civil penalties, or take advantage of our know-how and experience across a broad range of business visas, our talented and dynamic immigration lawyers are available to speak to you. Telephone numbers on the screen, emails on the screen, and hit the link in the bio if you need any help.
Because in my head I was like, I might be going away from a long time. Let me
make as much as I
can now. And then they caught me again. I think we done the Leighton store McDonald's, I think it was, and we went to Wanted Flats to open a box. And then we come back inside the car. But my Benjamin didn't want to drive his car back. He's like, yeah, nah, I'm not gonna have what happened to you. So let's get a cab. So I said, okay, I'll go and get a cab. Got to the Maryland train station in Stratford, and opposite next door there was a cab station. So when I've gone there, as I'm walking there, a police bully van just stopped right in front of me. I've panicked and started running. It wasn't even for me. Right, but they've not clocked that I'm running. They've gone past me and run to the train station. But I think, they're looking for me, kind of thing. So I've gone inside the cab station. Guy, help me! I need a cab. They're like, there's no cabs right now. Just be patient. And I can form. Let me hide this money. And as I'm doing all of that, the cabman's called the police. They said, yeah, there's a guy in here. He's got money. And then another police have come here. They said, oh, let's see your fingertips. Because at that point when the inks had changed, and how you bust it, you get inks in your fingernails. They looked at my fingernails and like, yeah, arrested me. But in the end, they got me for handling the money, because all they did was fine me with the money. They didn't actually fine me with the, with the actual doing the crime. I said, yeah, someone gave me the money, kind of thing, which they had to prove. But I got given a 5-year sentence, and during that time, while I was in that time, they started hitting me, coming back, saying, oh yeah, we've got this case and that case. In the end, I just pleaded guilty, and then I ended up spending the next 8 years in jail.
You done the full 8 stretch?
Yeah, well, I had a bit out. So in 2010, I was out for like 7 months, and then straight back in.
So how long was your sentence?
There was a few sentences. The 4-year sentence, then they added extra
And
year.
they didn't make them run concurrent?
They made it run concurrent, but remember, I was already serving time in jail.
Okay, yeah, so
while I
adding
was
on,
in jail,
adding on.
They were still investigating other cases, and like, so while I was in jail, thinking, I'm out in a couple years. They come this case and that case, and there's so much evidence. I just pleaded guilty.
And you done 8 years behind the door?
Yeah.
And what was that genuinely like? Because listen, as you can imagine, I've interviewed a load of criminals, ex-criminals, and they all say to me, some say it's the hardest thing in the world, others say, you know what, it's not that bad.
I'll be honest, it's not that bad.
Genuinely?
Genuinely, it's not that bad, as long as you don't have to do it for the rest of your life.
But 8 years ain't a joke.
No, it's not a joke, but I would never want to do that again.
Yeah, of course.
In that sense, it's bad, right? But in the sense that you can get along with life. I was always entrepreneurial. So in prison, I was bringing in phones. One thing I didn't do, because one of my cousins started taking drugs, and he turned to an addict. I never got involved in drugs in jail. Everyone like, bring some drugs in. I never got involved in drugs. But I used to get phones in. I used to have a gambling shop. I used to have a betting shop. I used to have a casino.
Swear down.
A football betting shop. I had a food shop. So if, for example, you ain't got no money in your canteen this week,
yeah,
and you want water, all right, come. Here's a water next week. Give me 2. So if I got 10 people bringing me 2 waters next week, now I got 20 bottles of water, and then more. Then it just grew. So in my cell base, I had a whole shop, like chocolate, sweets, tobacco, and then literally, then someone said, you know what? Let me just buy a whole patch. So they might buy £50 worth. So what I'll do, call my sister and say, yeah, someone's going back to put money in your bank account. Let me know, confirm. And she'll say, yeah, the money's in there, and then I'll give them the whole stock. So that's what I done. But
so you're running a business?
I run a business in jail. But what it was as well is that you can get away with just having your time in jail. You can get your head down and just don't get involved in anything. When you start getting involved in anything, that's what brings you into issues. Because again, I was selling phones and buying phones and so on. So I remember in one prison, HMP ISIS, that's how I got this thing there. Because then I was beefing little kids. I could call them little kids, but they were like 20. I was like 24 at the time, and they tried to rob my phone. And I was like, I ain't gonna let you guys rob my phone. And that turned into a whole big passer in that as well. But genuinely, jail is, you can make it as comfortable as you like, or you can make it as hard as you like.
Do you have any issues in there apart from that one issue with you?
Yeah, a few issues in the sense that where, I remember it was in Rye Hill Prison, for example. Rye Hill Prison, I got into about 3 or 4 fights in there. One of them was, one guy was just chatting rubbish. He was just chatting rubbish. And I remember him saying something, but that's where your brother got shot.
Yeah, that's it. It's going off.
Then from that, then they put us in the. And then what I didn't like about prisons, right, is that a lot of times people will take sides, even though. That, so, for example, I remember it carefully, and I even speak to the guy right now. He's back in jail now. Actually, there was a lifer. He got life up, but then his sentence appealed. But he's a Muslim, right? And in jail, a lot of times people who maybe don't follow the religion of Islam might join it because there's a sense of protection, but also some of them just genuinely want to find out about it. When they find out about that, you know what, this is what I want to do, this is my path. Sometimes people do it for protection. So I remember there's a guy who was, me and him, his name was Ishmael. Me and him were like proper cool. We used to have debates, like even when we were in the shower, he's in the next cubicle, I'm in the next cubicle. I'm Christian, so we'll have debates and have like proper conversation, and I saw him as like a friend. Yeah. So I remember this guy called Lloyd was chatting rubbish. I remember I said, cool, you see you, watch when the cell's open, right, it's on. I remember Ishmael coming to me and said, you know what, if you fight Lloyd, I'm gonna have to join him because he's my Muslim brother. I said, what?
Yeah, that's mad.
I said, after that, I kind of turned from him. I'm like, yeah, it's not even, but I was like, you guys do what you have to do. But in the end, Lloyd came and apologized and said, you know what, yeah, I was in the wrong for that. But yeah, I had quite a few different issues, man. There's another guy called Anderson. I remember me and him had a big fight. This guy had a big head. I remember he headbutt me. He headbutt me, and I dropped on the floor. This guy, but like, he's an older man as well. I remember I was a little bit hyped because when they sent me to when I was in Feltham, I was the oldest.
Oh shit.
So when I gone to adult jail, I'm the youngest, so I got a bit of a chip on my shoulder kind of thing. Whereas the older people just want to be calm. They're not trying to get involved in fights and anything like that. But I was still trying to prove myself kind of thing. I remember I don't think I was in the wrong with the Anderson fight, but I remember he headbutt me. And when he headbutt me, it's like I got up and I punched him. And I remember me fighting. Then I started following him, and then there was some guy from a biker gang up sort of Coventry side. I remember he went and gave Anderson a dish plate because you can in what do you call it, in Wandsworth, in Rye Hill, you can buy dish plates. And
what's a dish plate?
Like a plate.
Okay, yeah.
So then he smashed it on the floor because the other jails you can get plastic plates, but in that jail they allow you to buy your own
proper
kind of plates. Yeah. I remember he smashed it on the floor and had a sharp bit. He's trying to come then. But obviously he's had that, so I ain't gonna go into his cell. But in the end, we kind of squashed that. There's another one as well where I was in the wrong in in Wandsworth, where there was an uncle who showed me a lot of love. And this is probably one of the snakiest thing I think I've ever done as a person, and it's not me, it's not my character. Mm-hmm. I remember he had a phone, and I remember people like, oh, uncle's got a phone. And I remember I told people where uncle's phone was. Yeah. And they ended up robbing uncle's phone, and uncle was like, yeah, but the phone didn't belong to uncle. And I remember there's a guy from West London, the phone belonged to him. I remember he come to my cell like, yo, bro, where's the phone? I'm like, I ain't got the phone. And me and him started trying to I'm like, do what you're doing. We started tussling in the cell. He got out and tried to bang in my face. Yeah, there's a lot of issues, but a lot of times I was someone that was the go-to guy. I was very comfortable in myself. I'm very entrepreneurial, so. Like the Grand National, everyone come to me to do their place, their bets and that. So I was always like.
So how was you running the bets in prison?
So basically, I started with the Grand National, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of people want to do the Grand National, and it started when I went to HMP Rye Hill, where some of the Essex old school gangsters and that were there. They can't place their bets, and they wanna. So I'm like. Alright, cool. We're all here. Everyone wants to talk about. Cause I didn't know enough about horse racing. Like, Grand National, everyone, and you can do the the stakes, sweepstakes. So I said, all right, cool. I got the newspaper, got all the horses that are coming up. I'm like, anyone wants to take part in the sweepstakes is a £5 entry each. Winner gets half the money. I get the other half, and everyone will give like £5 worth of canteen. So it'll be like, okay, cool. I owe you £5. You £5. So if you owe me money in a canteen, I'll say, okay, cool. Next week, can you buy me 2 chocolate bars is £2 or whatever, anything that totals up to £5 basically, and then that's how you kind of exchange money. For bigger money, when it's sort of big hundreds and £200 and stuff like that, it would be you would literally do a transfer. And then when I started doing the Grand National, then I started doing the football bets. So I realized that the bookies and the casinos always used to win, right? So with the bookies, I'll be like, okay, cool. Say the bookies is 30-1. I'll bring my odds down. Mine will be like 9-1 because I can't compete with the bookies 30-1. But what it was, cause so many, and that's how the bookies work, right? Cause so many people are betting, even if you won, everyone else lost, so they're covering your bet. So I never ever kind of lost. But there was twice where everything nearly went tits up for me. I remember I'll forever thank Michael Owen. I met him as well. I didn't even tell him about it. I should have told him about it. Literally, there's a guy called Marine. He used to be in the Marines. He got involved in selling drugs, bringing drugs from Afghanistan while he was working in the Marine. But he was a big gambler. He used to just do big bets with me, and he used to owe me lots. But this guy was a big unit, and because I had a lot of backing in the jail, like he couldn't try to be funny and run away with my money. But I remember one time, he done a silly bet, right, which is like the odds were just done. He said, okay, I'm betting Man City versus Man United. This is 2009, I think. He said, Man City versus Man United, I'm betting 3-3. I'm like, you ain't gonna be fucking 3-3. He's like, give me odds for that. I said, all right, odds for that would be 150-1, right? He said, okay, cool, 151. I'm gonna put £50 in it. So I'm thinking, yeah, that's calm, like £50, and that's not. And then I remember it was 3-3. Right, and Craig Bellamy scored some outrageous goal to make it 3-3, and I'm just stressing. And it's the last minute of the game, and I think Alex Ferguson put Michael Owen on, and Michael Owen just scored to make it 4-3 in the last minute. I started running up the wing, like, he looked deflated. He was so deflated. I was shouting and screaming so much I gave myself a headache, but I was like, wow. And there's one time where I did have to pay out when I was in HMP Ford. And that was just because, all the top teams don't ever win all at once. You say people think, yeah, I'm gonna put Man United to win, Arsenal to win, Tottenham to win, Man City to win, and someone's gonna mess it up. But on this occasion, they all won. They all won. I was like sitting there thinking, I had to pay out at least £2,500 in jail, and I was like crazy. But that was an open jail in Haitian before. Then that one, you had cash because you're going in and out of jail, so you had cash. I remember just going to my stash and having to hand everyone their cash. That one hurt. But yeah, I was always entrepreneurial. But like, again, you don't want to ever go to prison. There's no. Don't let me make prison sound fun. Prison is shit. It's bullshit, right? There's nothing for you to go to prison for, right? It's nonsense, right? However, when you're there, you can make the most of your time. And I also done a degree while I was in there. I done a degree in criminology and social policy, and I wrote 2 books. And my books, everyone was kind of reading, and like every jail I went to, even when people hit me up now, like, yo, Bobby, what happened to your book? I said, yeah, I released this on Amazon. So like lots of people read the book and that as well. So it's not the best place to be, but it's about maintaining, adapting to your environment.
What's going on, guys? This video is being brought to you by Maurice Andrews Solicitors. As you're all aware, we've done a season 2 all about crime. If you watch that all and you're in any situation like that and need help getting out of this situation, reach out to Maurice Andrews Solicitors and see if it's something they can help you with.
Remember, there's a defense for every offense.
As much as you've gone prison,
Yeah.
it sounds like it helped you in some sense. Maybe not in a... Listen, no one wants to be in prison.
Yeah.
Don't get it twisted. But you never used it to come out and become a gangster.
Yeah.
You used it in a positive way. You done your little business thing in there. You said, cool, when I come out, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
Now you're the owner of a successful football brand. But before we jump into that, I want to know a little bit about your brother.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about what it was like growing up with, obviously you said he was already in the gangs and you got your name from him and then he got shot.
Yeah.
That must have been like just mental.
Yeah, I mean, he's someone I think I've been human-wise, I've been closest to all my life compared to everyone else, right? Because he's 2 years older than me, and I always tell him this, right? I've said this in a few interviews as well. Whatever he would have done, I would have followed. If he wanted to be a astronaut, I would have probably done the same thing, right? And I remember I was so good at football that when he was in year 6, I was in year 4. Even when he was in year 5 and I was in year 3, I was playing for his team. That's how good I was at football. And we had that camaraderie in terms of love of football. The transition changed for him, and I think the transition changed for a lot of young people is when they go into year 7.
Yeah.
Because in year 6, all you care about is football and having fun and playing and maybe playing kiss chase. In year 7, you're now mixing as an 11-year-old with 16-year-olds. And it's now, in some cases, with 18-year-olds, because you've got 6 forms now, right?
From being the best footballer, you're now like, everyone's a lot bigger than me.
Yeah, so with that, he then started going to school, and then he's hearing about these Peckham boys and this and that, and he'll come back and tell me, so, oh yeah, there was a big fight outside the secondary school today. We went to the main school in Peckham. The main school in Peckham was called Warwick Park. The name changed now. It's called the City Academy. It's called Peckham Harris Academy or something like that. But at the time, it was called Warwick Park. So he'll call, yeah, there's a big fight. These guys, but this name came, and then by the time he was in year 8 now, when he's in year 8, I'm in year 6, and he's kind of getting in trouble now. I remember the first time the police came to the house, him and his friends went to West End and went to go and rob sort of clothes and that. And I remember the beating him my parents gave him. It made me feel like, I don't know, following his footsteps. But by the time I went to year 7 and he was in year 9, he was the popular guy. Like the girls loved him. He had a name for himself, had a reputation, and even a lot of people used to come to me like when I kind of joined the gang in year 9, year 10. A lot of people come and tell me, "Oh, your brother's a madman, you know your brother's a madman," kind of thing. But he never kind of used to show me that side of him, right?
Your brother,
he never showed that side of that side of him. And then I remember when he was in year 11, I was in year 9. He got kicked out of school in the final weeks. Because someone had robbed him. I've done an interview with him actually. I interviewed him. It's got like over 100,000 views
That
on
must
my
have been
channel.
mad, I can't lie. Interviewing your brother, talking about like back in the day.
Yeah, and when I speak about incident, and it's incidents, me witnessing him violently beating another kid with a bottle, because someone had robbed his phone. Someone had taken his phone. He was in year 11. I think he's hung out with some of the year 10s and that, and someone robbed his phone. And he's like, if I don't get my phone back, I'm robbing everyone. So he didn't get his phone back, and he ended up robbing all the year 10s and all the year 11s that he was with, kind of thing. But some of them tried to start taking a stand and trying to fight back. And after that, he's like, oh, this one trying to fight back. I remember he just got a bottle and started bottling the kid over and over again. I say, Carly, stop, what are you doing? Carly, stop, what are you doing? The teachers had to come pull him away, and then he got excluded. He was allowed to do GCSEs, but then he just started selling drugs, and then he started getting into a lot of issues in the area as well, because there's a lot of jealousy, because there's someone who kind of left him with the best line in the area, and other people like, oh, why has he got the line? Why has he got the line, kind of thing. But in all of this, I'm just still trying to play. I'm just putting my toes in slowly into the whole gang, what you call it, where he was kind of fully immersed. And then it was kind of like when then I started doing security. I remember when I did my first ever security van robbery, which I ended up one of the ones where they came to arrest me for later on. But I remember the first one I ever done, I got £5,000. I remember calling him, yo, we just robbed. He's like, what? So I went to go and link him. He went to my girlfriend's house in Streatham, and both of them helped me count it up. I remember giving him £1,000. I felt like, yeah, that
I can give my brother money.
Yeah, I'm involved, kind of thing. And then obviously there was always tension in the area. There's issues where he had issues with prominent people in the area as well. But he was just getting on doing what he was doing. And then I remember, obviously, I ended up getting arrested. So when I got arrested, got given my time, was a year into my sentence. And then his daughter was born in January, 20th of January, 2008. And my daughter was born in June of 2008. Her birthday's coming up as well, actually. And our daughter was like 6 months apart. And my daughter was born while I was in jail. Also, I remember the day, it was one of my sister's birthdays, the 10th of November, 2008. I remember I was on the prison phones, on the blue prison phone, speaking to my younger sister, because Christmas was coming up. Like, yo, what do you want for Christmas? Blah blah blah. And she said, oh, I want this, I want that, I want that. Hung up the phone, nothing as usual. Then my brethren from Peckham come back on the wing. He's like, yo, you need to call home, you know. I'm like, why? He said, nah, call home now. I'm like, I just spoke to my sister. He said, nah, call home now. I'm like, why? What's happened? Bro, your brother got shot 4 times yesterday. I'm like, what? Yeah. I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Yeah,
I can't
you can't do nothing.
Yeah, I can't get to my phone where I've stashed it. I can't get to it. So I'm like, what? So I've gone back to call my sister again, but no one's told her. I'm like, oh, where's Carly? She's like, oh, I don't know. So I'm trying to call his phone's off. And then I've called my mum, and her phone's off. I'm like beside myself. I'm in jail. I can't talk to no one. I can't call no one. Then I've told the officer, look, I heard my brother's been shot. They're like, how do you know? I said, look, my brother's been shot. I need you guys to call up. They've got the chaplain to come over.
They got the what?
The chaplain, sort of the priest that's in the thing, for them to try to make contact and find out what's going on. I remember a guy called Edmund. He came to see me, like, and he's explained to me, oh yeah, he's in hospital right now. They're not sure. He's having surgery. I'm like, oh my God, what's going on? And then I remember when I finally got to my cell, I managed to get to my phone, calling up, and everyone said, yeah, it's not looking good, you know, it's not looking good. I'm like, I don't think I prayed as much as I had ever that day. Like, I said, God, if you make my brother live, I promise, I'm going to change, I'm going to do things differently, I'm not going to get involved. And I remember it took like maybe 2 or 3 days, and he was in a coma for a little while, and then he came out, and they were like, yeah, he's alright, he's gonna live. I was like, oh my God, like right now he's got like a mad scar that goes all, then that open up his whole stomach kind of thing. He even shows it on my channel when we done the interview. He shows the actual scar of it as well. But it's like, yeah, that was crazy. And then I remember where he doesn't learn was that maybe 2 months after that, he's in jail himself for robbing some drugs or something like that. But yeah, he's back. But then he got given, there was no kind of proof, and the case got dropped. Then after that, he said, you know what, fuck this life. And he said, you know what, I'm not doing this no more. Then he started working with young people, and he works with young people now. He works with me with the football club and that as well. So yeah, but when we had our interview, it was like, it wasn't even worth it, this lifestyle.
Nah.
And that's what a lot of young people won't understand until they hit a certain age. Criminal life only lasts from, gang life only lasts from maybe 14 until they're back 24.
Then real life actually hits it.
Yeah, because remember, you still got to be 35, you still got to be 40, you still got to be 50. You got so much more life to live, and you guys give all your life into this short amount of time. Some of you don't even get to have children, don't get to go on holidays, don't get to have like get married. You don't get to do the experience the things that normal people, regular people get to do. Some of them are all being killed by the age of 14, 15, 16. So yeah, it's all mad. But like, I'm so glad that we came away from it, because between 2006 and 2011, it was a harsh time in Peckham. Then my younger brother started getting involved in, and I remember he started beefing some of the prominent people, but my younger brother gave his life to God very quickly. Like, he experienced and did it after that. But now he's bought a 5-bedroom house. He's married. He just had his first child last year. So it's like, our Giles 31, and it makes me so proud. I remember when I was in jail, they let me go out for his wedding. I was in tears. I remember they let me go to his wedding. He had a ceremony at Hackney Town Hall, and they gave me 12 hours out for the day. I remember seeing him walking with his wife. I was like, Papa, like crying and everything like that. But I think it's emotional being in jail for so long.
And being out as well.
And then being out, see my grandma, see my brother getting married. Yeah, it was amazing to see. But yeah, but I'm just thankful that we've all made it out, because there's so many friends who didn't make it.
No, 100%. But now I want to dive into your passion. What makes you smile in the morning? Because I know you got mad passion for this football club and what it is. We've talked about your past.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about your future a little bit and your present.
Yeah, man. Hackney Football Club. I mean, got out of jail, wanted to play football again. I signed for Corinthian Casuals, which is the team I was playing for when I went on a run. And
Fair enough.
But they're based out in Tolworth in Surrey, and I couldn't be travelling with them. My probation was in Hackney. I thought, let me look for a local team to play over here, and there was no team really in Hackney.
Yeah.
And I remember when I was in jail, I said, I'm going to start my own team, because I saw so many talented young people in jail. Then I literally said, you know what, I'm going to call it Hackney Wick FC, because it's local to where I'm living, it's local to where my biological mum and dad lived. And I said, yeah, this is going to be Hackney Wick FC. I remember going on Twitter, creating a Hackney Wick FC. I just went and took a photo of the Hackney Wick FC station badge, put it as the, logo, and literally started messaging everyone that lived in Hackney Wick. Guys, Hackney Wick FC coming, Hackney Wick FC coming, doing it over and over and again. I put it on Facebook and LinkedIn at the time, and said, guys, I'm starting a new football club. Anyone wants to help, let me know. I need directors, I need sponsors, I need players. And I remember the guy, I'm actually starting an agency with him soon as well, called Simon Cerebro. He got in touch with me very early. He said, yeah, I want to play for the team. I'm like, yeah, come on board, man. I'll have you in a team. And another guy called Tunde. They were like my first 2 players. We had trials, but I wouldn't really say trials, just let everyone come and join and play. And then, but I said, how do I get people to invest in this football club? How do I get people to invest interest, not even money, just to invest interest in the football club? I said, you know what? I want to give back to the society. I want to give back to the community. So let me give back to the community. I said, any player that plays for my football team has to volunteer in the community. So we literally advertised, look, we've got young people who want to come and volunteer. So we started volunteering all across Hackney. And then people start putting the story, oh, this guy's come out of jail, he started a football club. And they're getting all the young people to volunteer. And that's kind of a sexy story, right? So people start, oh, but okay, well, how long was you in jail for? What did you do? Oh, what? The case was linked to a murder? What the hell? So it kind of sold itself. And then I remember Copper 90, which is a big YouTube channel.
Yeah, I know.
They got in touch with me and said, oh yeah, look, we love your story. We want to come and tell us about what you envision for Hackney FC. And they done my first kind of promo for me, where and this time I had no badge. We had about 5 or 6 players. We had no kits. And then they gave us like a big kind of promo and a big push, and through the back of that, people started getting in touch. And then there's a guy called Declan Perkins who owned the Lauriston's pub in Victoria Park in Hackney. He's like, yeah, I'll sponsor your team. He gave us money, bought all of our kits and jerseys. And a lady called Rana Brightman, who's still involved with the club now, she designed this badge, which has become iconic because she's a brand designer. And then we got the women's team, they got involved as well. And I was good at marketing, so I was telling my story everywhere, and then just started building up. Then we had a youth team, men's team, women's team. And then in 2017, we became semi-pro.
Nice.
We played at that point, we played in the 9th division of British football. We got relegated, so we're now in the 10th division of British football. But then we had Nike found out about my story in the US. They said like, yo, we love what you're doing. We want to come over. And I said, yeah, come over. So we done a workshop. So in 2018, they made these crazy kits which are sold out, and people always still look for these kits now. So our young people designed these kits, and Nike actually made, I think they made about, I think it was like maybe 2,000 of them, and it sold out worldwide. And then got invited to Downing Street by Theresa May at the time. And I when they invited me, I thought, yeah, I'm gonna come there and just be part of the crowd. And there's 3 chairs at the front of the audience, and they went, "That's your chair." I'm like, "Huh?" So they had me, Rapman from Blue Story, and rest in peace Jamal Edwards. So I'm sitting there with these 2 people on the panel. And I'm like, why they got me with Jamal Edwards at SVTV and Rapman? These are legendary people. Like why? But the guy told me, you don't understand the impact you're actually having. Your stories and how it's kind of the kids are resonating with it, and how we need people like you. I'm like, wow, this is crazy. And then obviously, Sadiq Khan came and visited us. He's come to visit us twice now, and they donated £10,000 to our football club. And then since then, we had the different organisations that get involved. We had Gaffer who came and they took all of our whole first team 11 to Old Trafford to play a game. So we had Heady One was on our team, Young Philly, Dave, Chunks. They're all in the Hackney FC kit, which was crazy for me. This was back in 2021, I think, 2021. And then, but in 2020, remember I'd written these books while I was in jail, and everyone said, you should make this into a series, make this into a drama series. So I started telling people, so that people can actually understand what Peckham was like in those days, I started telling people the murder stories. I used to call it, this is the story of, which I started bringing back again recently, but this is the story of David Poole. He was 16 years old on the 4th of February. He went out to a party, blah, blah, blah. This is what happened. He got killed, and James Poole and this person, they were convicted for his murder. They got 35 years each. I started doing these little mini stories, and then they just kind of took off. I started putting them on YouTube. And then one day I done a story of how I was recruited as a Peckham boy. And literally it went crazy on Instagram. Then I put it on YouTube. It went crazy. It's my most watched video to this day on YouTube. It's got like 420,000 views. So we're going towards 500,000. And basically, similar to the story I just told you about how I got recruited as a Peckham boy and so on. Yeah, it just took off. And through the back of that, I kept everyone entertained throughout the whole of COVID, because I'll just tell people stories. Okay, and this day in prison, this what happened. And on this day, this what happened. Guys, this what you need to avoid. And the YouTube channel just grew and grew. And then I remember my first interview was with a guy called Raver from Peckham. So he was like older. He was like seen as the Peckham boys boss kind of thing. So I done an interview with him, and then I started interviewing a lot of the other Peckham boys. And then after that, transitioned to me interviewing rappers, celebrities, influencers, and just people I thought had great stories. And that kind of just kept on growing and growing. And like I said, now we're about to hit 80,000 subscribers. And then with the football club, I got an email randomly one day in 2021, and the end of it said, Netflix. I'm like, Netflix? They said, yeah, we've been watching you for a couple of years. We love what you're doing. We're thinking of some ideas about where we can do some sponsorship and around Top Boy, because Top Boy is based in Hackney. You're Hackney with Football Club. I was like, oh my God, yeah, 100%, of course. Let's get involved. So they came, they helped. We've got some guy called Fode who designed the kits for us. He actually got given an award last month from the King for his designs. He's for different design. He's a designer, and he designed this the away kit, and we've got a home kit as well. And then I was like, I had Nike, the biggest sports brand in the world, come and sponsor me in 2018. Now I got one of the biggest streaming platforms in the world, Netflix, are now my sponsors as well. And then YouTube got involved last year as well through Patrice Evra, and they done a show through the Nelson Mandela Foundation where they gave us a whole new minibus. And I was like, wow, this is crazy, this is mad. And then through the back of that, Netflix said again, yeah, we're sponsoring again next year, and then we're starting our college. We're doing a college for school leavers. So if you finish year 11, guys, year 12, we're doing a sports academy where they can do BTEC level 1, 2, and 3. And we've teamed up with Loughborough University. Loughborough is the world's leading university in the whole world, and they've got a campus in Hackney Wick that people didn't know about. So we're gonna have our campus there where kids will go and do the education in the morning, and in the afternoon they'll come and do the football with us. And just sort of grown and grown. And then there's a company called Bad Wolf. So Bad Wolf made Discovery of Riches for Sky One and his Dark Materials for BBC One. So back in 2019, they bought the rights to my story about a guy who comes out of prison and starts their own football club. So they're in talks with a channel right now, and they're actually in the writing stage. So in the next year, 18 months to 2 years, there's going to be a new drama series based around myself and the football club. So it's a growing journey. I'm still learning day by day. And most importantly, just helping the kids, man, because we run the football club, but it's about getting them education, getting them jobs. So we always get people want to come and sponsor us. I'm like, 100% I'll take their money. They help us support the kids, right? Because like we got A Jewelers, for example.
Yeah, I know Jewelers.
They sponsored us this season just gone. And for us, that was an amazing sponsorship. It helps pay, because we got young people who come from vulnerable situations, right, where their parents can't afford to pay their subs, and we can't afford not to have subs because we need to pay the fees for the pitches, the coaches, and so on, the leagues. So the sponsorship always helps us massively. So when A Jewelers always said, look, yeah, we love what you guys are doing, we're gonna sponsor, and they ended up giving us money and sponsored 40 boys. And those 40 boys didn't have to pay any subs at all. And we now, just by doing that, you sponsored 40 boys, that means those boys don't have to get involved in gangs or crimes and that, they're with us kind of thing. And we had another company called London Fire Solutions where they gave 5 of our adult members jobs. So these guys are working permanent jobs right now where they're earning £22,000-25,000 a year. And that's more than the money you could have given me. What you've done is change people's lives. And that's what it's all about, man. We're growing. So on the 25th, I got my big event called the 32 Barrel Cup, where I bring together, the World Cup has 32 teams. London has 32 boroughs. Postcode wars, right? Kids, this end and that. And I said, okay, cool. You guys want to have your postcode wars? Let's have it through football. So this will be the 4th year that we're doing it.
That's a good idea, you know. That's actually a smart idea.
But the smart thing about it is that, yes, they come and do the football, but the day before the football, we do workshops where we had the likes of Netflix, Selfridges, Barclays Bank, Football Manager. They all come and do workshop with the kids about how to get into the industries. So it's a jobs fair, and the following day it's a football tournament. And so at the moment, the cup belongs in North London because for 3 years now, the first year Enfield won it, the second year Islington won it, and last year Barnet won it. So we're doing it again this year, and this year we managed to get quite a few big sponsors as well. Netflix are sponsoring again. A company called Frank Capital, they're a big investment company in Mayfair. They're supporting as well. The lottery supporting as well. So it's about teaching people that come from my place where I come from, is that we didn't need to get involved in crime.
You ain't got to do that shit.
We didn't have to get. There's no one taught us. No one said, you know what, you can just be legit, network, meet people, and like I said, with A Jewelers, they don't have to give us money, but just through the energy, they're like, you know what, we like what you're doing. And everywhere I go now, literally, people like we love what you're doing in the community. We love we support you, and that's what's helped my pages grow and so on. So I just try to help as many young people as possible. So you know what, you do not need to live that lifestyle.
100%.
I was never a bad boy. I got led to believe I was a bad boy. In fact, I was a good boy. I was smart in school, but I just followed the crowd. And that's what it is. A lot of people, even the people who are bad, you always get someone who's just bad, who just wants to be bad. When they're at home at night time, they're just human like everyone else. They don't want to do what they're doing, but they get caught up in that lifestyle.
A lot of people try and prove a point as well, and most of the time the bad boy is the person who just wants to be like involved with people as well. He just wants people to like him, so he thinks, all right, cool, let me go out, punch this kid up, do this so that people like me. But most of the time, if they had the right person, like most of the people in hacking now look up to you and think, okay, cool, he's our mentor. That changes a lot of shit. If there was a lot more people doing what you've done in all these different boroughs, shit would be different. But there's not. Everyone wants to be a gangster. Everyone glamorizes it. They're like, yeah, it's so sick, let's be gangster, drug deal, blah blah blah. But it's not good.
It's not at all. And the thing is that a lot of kids will learn it later on. And if you see how many people, old school people, have now got podcasts. From Young Spray, from Pound Sterlings, from Margs, like all the old school, and they're all teaching the young people like, don't do that lifestyle. If the oldest who were prominent in that lifestyle telling you that lifestyle is not worth it, but again, there's so much money in drugs, there's so much money in what can you do to deter. If a kid now's getting 200, he's 16, he's getting £200 a week selling drugs, how can you compete with that? And the only way I say that I compete is like providing them with things that they enjoy doing, like football, like music.
You know
like
something
drugs.
I've learned as well, yeah? As much as there is so much money in drugs, yeah? You seen how much people are making just from their phones? Like, don't tell me like all these boys who deal drugs and do that. There is ways to make that kind of money. There is, but you just got to look. Like if you dedicate all that time you dedicate to selling drugs into building a platform, building a social media following, starting a YouTube channel, or I don't know, doing something with your life, you can make that money. You can make tenfold.
That's what I'm saying, because I got so many different passive income. It's like because I run 5 blog pages, people come to me, oh, I want to promote my, what do you call it? This is the fee for it. You want to promote your restaurant? You want to promote your music? This is the fee for it. So I get 10 of those a week. It adds to my income. So people don't understand. And what with me, I always share my knowledge. I'm not someone like, I'm not telling you how to do this. I'm like, no, let's
work together.
There's 8 billion people in the world. There's enough customers for all of us.
100%. I say it to everyone, man. Like a lot of people, like some of my friends got podcasts and they're like, oh, this guy started a podcast. I'm like, bro, there's loads of viewers. Don't stress.
Yeah.
Who's going to watch yours might watch mine.
Yeah,
there's better people on YouTube.
There's different audience. And why shouldn't anyone feel that they can't because you're doing something?
Yeah.
I should be able to start my podcast. And I see some people's podcasts where they follow my formula. I'll repost their podcast like, yo, I love what you're doing. Like, it's amazing. Like, encourage people because it's your own insecurity. They feel, oh, these people are going to take all my... No. If you're good at what you're doing, your customers will stay forever. So, yeah.
The other day, a guy phoned me up and he goes, oh, Mikey, I've got my podcast. Come and help me. I went, I gave him all the advice, everything I knew about doing a podcast. Don't get twisted. I'm not the biggest podcaster in the world. But what I'm doing is working, touch wood. I was like, yeah, bro, do this. Change your thumbnail. Do that. Start posting it this time. Do this. But why am I going to try and take away something from you? I don't care. Good, you take it all, bro. Have more. Have double. I'll help you. Whatever you need. But I think nowadays, our day and age, everyone's in competition.
And I never understand it. I always say, why am I competing with my brother? Like, we can all eat. I always say this, right? Because I'm not someone that's fairly flashy, right?
Yeah.
I'm someone that I'm very comfortable in. I can have a modest car, a modest watch. I go on a couple holidays a year. That's me. Yeah. I don't need much, right? Yes, you might want to do lifestyle every now and then, but for me, I have my partner, I have my kids. Most importantly is that time that I spent with them and me going on a holiday. My youngest has gone on like, she's 4 years old. She's been on 5 holidays. I never went on 5 holidays as a kid. Right? So that's the most important thing for me to give them experiences.
100%.
It's not about, life's about experience. Everyone's stuck here in London. The world is so big. I remember being in jail. I was in Feltham because Feltham is right next door to Heathrow. You'll see the planes flying. I remember just thinking like, wonder where that plane's going. Thinking, I can't be going nowhere for a while. So now I make the most of it. I want to go on holiday every single year. The world is big. I want to go Australia. I want to go South Africa. I want to go Brazil. I want to travel as much different places and experience. Because we live this life once. Why are you stuck on your estate?
Yeah, 100%.
That's why we got our charity called Think Outside the Blocks.
That's nice.
Is it? Think outside the blocks. Think big. Like, don't just be in your estate. Oh yeah, man. Then when you going? Oh, I'm gonna go buy a drawer. You're smoking. That's what it is. There's so much more to the world than that.
100%, man. 100%. Look, is there anything else you want to say on this show?
No, I just want to say thank you for having me.
Honestly, your story. Do you know what I like about you as well? You look at you and people can relate to you because you're not a gangster. You're not a bad guy saying, yeah, I stabbed this man up. I've done this. I've done that. You're genuinely saying, look, I've done that. You don't need to do it. And I respect that because a lot of people try and glamorize it and you don't. You say, look, I've done it. It weren't good. I'm on better things now. And I respect that massively because most gangsters nowadays try and portray, I was about it. I was on this, I was on that. You're sitting there saying, I weren't a gangster. I just got involved. It weren't me. It was just, and I respect that as well because it's the truth. That is what it is. But no, genuinely, thank you for coming on the show. And I look forward to seeing you again, man. Thank you.
Thank you, man. Come on.